We're going back to the moon with a new film that you certainly want to check out. What an amazing story, filled with so much heart, so much substance, and truly just a fun time. Folks, let's get into my review of the new film, A Million Miles Away. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film A Million Miles Away, coming to Prime Video September 15th. Now, as sort of a sucker for space here, anything that's taking us to space in any bit of media I'm interested in. But beyond that, it's the cast. Michael Peña, Rosa Salazar, Bobby Soto, just to name a few here. And being that this was based on a true story about an astronaut, NASA's flight engineer, José Hernández, I was really interested about a story I was not totally familiar with. But I'm going to tell you that this is certainly, as I mentioned earlier, certainly a movie you want to watch, certainly a story you want to look up, because if you don't feel proud by watching this film, and maybe you don't have a heart, but for everybody was ever chasing a goal, who really came from nothing, who really saw their family around them sacrifice everything for them to fulfill their utmost potential, this is your story. This is your story. And Jose is about a young kid who, went from Mexico to, his family went from Mexico, went into California, where they were they were proud migrant farm workers, and they literally, the whole entire family was farm workers, and I mean even the kids too. Him, Jose, his two siblings, his mom and his dad, it's his cousin, his sister, and mom and dad. And this is a kid who was, I don't know, he was a young kid, went to school and worked way before most of us worked. I think the legal working age is what, like 16, I think it is. And he was working way before that, just to provide, just to be a contributing factor to helping provide for the family. And with that, you really see this kid's potential in school, and you see the folks who truly was in his corner. His teachers was one of the big catalysts in letting his dad and his mom know that, like, if you plant a tree and you water it and then it grows and then you uproot it and then plant it again, how would this affect the tree growing? Would it ever grow to be strong and tall as its utmost potential? And it was something that the family took very serious, to the point that they decided that they needed to truly sacrifice everything to truly prioritize their son's education, because Jose was smart. He was good with numbers. He, by all means, why, being from Mexico and having an accent, and maybe some of the other kids thought it was hilarious to them, he was absolutely the smartest guy in the room. And when you talk about his cousin, who was constantly in his corner, that was always there the entire ride, always believed in him. It's just a story of a really humble beginning to somebody who becomes something so much more important. He always, as a kid, had dreams and aspirations to be in space. Ever since he saw a flight shuttle mission on TV, he knew this is what he wanted to be. So it's a great story. I want to talk a little bit here about the cast. Michael Peña does play Jose Hernández once he is grown. Michael Peña is amazing. And, Michael Peña is typically known for his comedic roles. And there is comedy in this for sure, but he's not the comedic relief. So I want to say that, like, have some respect for my man's acting if you think he was one-dimensional, which I never thought, but just in case you may have wanted to typecast him, you don't have to worry about that here. Rosa Salazar is fantastic in everything she does, and I was instantly drawn to the fact that she would be playing the wife of Jose Hernández. So I'm like, I need to see this chemistry with Michael and Rosa, and they're fantastic. From and talk about her role too, or the character Adela Hernandez. She was always there. Another person who came from sort of the same background of migrant farm workers who had a job as a car dealer at a car dealership to somebody who wanted to see Jose truly succeed. They grew an entire family, and she put her goals and aspirations to side because much like everybody else, she knew truly what he would become and never wanted him to lose sight of his dreams. So, I thought it was just really fantastic to just see such a story of such a strong support system that he didn't let anybody down. And I think that, seeing the wife and how she plays a part in this was just really beautiful. And again, Rosa does a fantastic job, not only as a compliment to Michael, but just as her own. She gives you a little bit of laugh, but she gives you an array of emotions here too, because she's sort of like the vehicle for the viewers to truly understand what did it mean to be right there by Jose the entire time. And then Bobby Soto plays the cousin. Bobby comes off as the cousin who, he is the support team. He's the hype man, and I love Bobby. Bobby's a fantastic actor as well too. So seeing him in a role that like is something like you may have seen in the past, but it's like, except he's like much more loose. And I will say that like the film does have its serious moments, but it also has its moments where it is very loose. It does have room for a lot of moments to laugh, but never lose sight about the messages that it's trying to get across. And again, talk about Jose. This is a guy who's been trying to get into NASA's space shuttle program, space program for 10 years and have applied 12 times. I mean, this is truly the measure of never giving up. He continued to apply over and over and over. He got better and better in his skills, his craft. He just kept beefing up his resume because he knew he could do it. And honestly, you're thinking like, well, what took him so long if he has all the potential? Because they do explore the prejudice of one, being, a minority, but also, somebody who just wasn't a white man. Like they very much made it very clear that like, beyond his qualifications, it really trickled down to him just being a Mexican man, a minority. Like, where does he fit in sort of the aesthetic, sort of optics, shall I say, with this? But nonetheless, he just kept pushing. It was a 30-year journey for him. And again, this is all surrounded by his dad, his mom making sacrifices, just continuously as a goal seeker, dreaming big, the wife, the selfless wife, and just so many different moments of her selflessness and just being there for him and putting her dreams to side and sacrificing, but also a glimpse into the culture of this Mexican family and other Mexican families, because obviously his wife before married, we get to kind of get a glimpse of where she was coming from as well too. And then also just the landscape of America at the time, and also taking a look into the government and whatnot. So like they split all of that. So like this film isn't really about the antics of what happens in space, but it truly was the journey about getting to space and a guy who had a dream who just never ever let it go till he ultimately achieved it. And achieving it was so much more bigger than him just being a Mexican getting to space here. This was about representation. This was about, and there's some really touching moments about this too. The representation, equality, from another astronaut having a really big moment with him. And honestly, this is just a love letter, I feel. Jose Hernandez, is still alive, because you wonder, like, stories like this, you're like, well, where is this person? You can stick through the credits to see all of the stock footage and stuff of truly this amazing person and who the story is about. But like, this is a love letter to everybody who helped him along the journey, from his teacher, his mom, his dad, his cousin, who what a story they have. Another astronaut who was a big catalyst into really motivating him about the significance of what he was doing, and so on. So like, it totally was less about the troubles in space, because there's always troubles in space, but truly about the struggles to even getting a chance to get there. especially by being a minority. And with that, he's the first migrant farm worker to ever make it to space. And again, the stock footage at the end is just the icing of the cake here. So listen, folks, you know, if you have dreams, you have goals, never let them go. This is the story that motivates you about it. It certainly will hit you in the feels. It's a long 30-year journey that this covers, but it's so worth it, so touching, especially, again, just up and down the board. There's just so many fantastic moments, fantastic performances by our leads here. The director, Alejandra, is just really killed it in this. I think a lot of folks are going to be proud of this finished product, and I think it's certainly a must watch, which you, my friends, can check it out on Prime Video September 15th. You don't want to miss this one. This is a million miles away. Jump in the comments, folks. Let me know your thoughts about it when you do. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.